Hey everybody, welcome back to Parks with AP. I am here at Gettysburg National Military Park, more specifically the Gettysburg National Cemetery. Of course, this is one of the oldest national cemeteries in the United States, dedicated by Abraham Lincoln himself at the Gettysburg Address just months after the battle in 1863. You're looking at the Soldiers Monument there in the middle of the cemetery. That is one of the oldest monuments on the battlefield. It was started on July 4th, America's birthday, 1865, and finished in 1869. So finished just 6 years after the battle here at Gettysburg. So it is one of the oldest monuments on the battlefield. Now here in the cemetery on the left, you'll see monuments or graves that look, headstones that look more similar to what you would expect at somewhere like Arlington National Cemetery. These are some of the newer burials here at the National Cemetery. National cemeteries can have soldiers from the Civil War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and so on. It just kind of depends on when the cemetery gets closed for burials. So on the left, you'll get, that view that you might be more familiar with. Now here on the right, we have the burials from the Battle of Gettysburg itself. 6,000 burials here at the National Cemetery for Gettysburg. 3,500 of them are for soldiers that died right here at Gettysburg. Now I'm not going to bury the lead anymore. The reason why I'm here, you already see it in the headline, is we have a very unique situation here at Gettysburg National Cemetery, and that is we have a Confederate soldier, very rare, who is buried here in the National Cemetery amongst Union or United States soldiers. Now, in today's mindset, today's frame of mind, it might sound a little harsh or strange for, what were really both Americans to be buried so separate, for there to be rules that was so strict about these soldiers being buried in their own cemeteries. But if you go back to the 1860s and post-war mindset, it wasn't strange at all. This is something that the veterans and the family members of veterans or those that were killed wanted. There was really no thought of these soldiers even being buried. You see, we have a row of unknown soldiers here that died at the Battle of Gettysburg. Just rows and rows of graves here. And it's just not something that was even thought of burying these soldiers together. Confederates had Confederate cemeteries, and Union or United States troops had national cemeteries. And we're coming up here on the grave, and I'll tell you how it happened once we get to it. I was able to find it relatively quickly. I was actually pretty surprised about that. And of course, now I won't be able to find it right, except for it is indeed right here. J.L. Johnson, marked to be part of the 11th Massachusetts. Well, the only problem is there was no J.L. Johnson in the 11th Massachusetts. Nowhere on any of the rolls is that a person, but there was a J.L. Johnson in the 11th Mississippi who was killed at the battle and never accounted for. They never found his body. So because of that, it is 99% certainty that we can say this J.L. Johnson is of the 11th Mississippi, not the 11th Massachusetts, but he is buried here amongst all of these Massachusetts men. And what happened was, after the battle, soldiers were kind of just buried on the battlefield, and then once the cemetery was dedicated and created, the bodies were moved from wherever they were buried on the battlefield or at other local areas. They were moved here to the cemetery. So when the 11th Massachusetts soldiers were moved here to the National Cemetery, J.L. Johnson's headstone here must have been hard to read. It must have not been able to really tell that it said Mississippi anymore. And they kind of just thought that it said 11th Massachusetts. He must have fallen in a part of the battlefield where there a lot of Massachusetts soldiers were. And his headstone was worn out, could no longer read Mississippi. So he was mistakenly buried here again at the National Cemetery with the Massachusetts men. J.L. Johnson. Definitely a unique story here, and this is why I tell you guys, I always sign off the same way. get out of your car, walk around these historic sites, do some research beforehand, and you'll never really know what you're going to find. Here, I'll walk up to one of these more modern gravestones just to give you guys a look at what maybe war these are from. We have a soldier from Pennsylvania here. Usually they had the war on, oh, there we go, I'm sorry. World War II, you can see right there, born in 1910 and died, oh wow, died on Christmas, wow. This I did not have planned. This is the first time I've looked at this headstone. So he died on Christmas Day in 1944. So 34 years old. Wow. Albert McDevitt, maybe? McDevitt. Died on Christmas Day. So I don't know if that doesn't cap off me saying, get out of the car, check out these historic sites. That's a good way to end it off right there. Me, myself, I'm a little surprised about what I just saw. So I'm gonna head back to my car and head home. Thanks again for joining me, and subscribe for more of these national park tours.